The farmhouse was still under the light of a fading moon, its rustic walls a fragile sanctuary in the wake of the storm they had weathered. Inside, Zufishan and Azar sat close, the quiet of the night enveloping them. The memory of Alam Shah's final moments hung in the air, a chilling reminder of the danger they had narrowly escaped. Zufishan's trembling fingers brushed over the crescent moon bracelet on her wrist, her eyes searching Azar's face. "It's really over, isn't it?" she whispered, her voice heavy with disbelief and exhaustion. Azar nodded, his hands clasping hers. "It is, Zufi. He can't hurt us anymore." A tear slipped down her cheek as relief swept over her like a tidal wave. For months, Alam Shah had loomed over their lives like a dark cloud, his obsession threatening to consume them both. Now, with his demise, that shadow was finally gone. But the scars he had left behind were still raw. As the first rays of sunlight pierced through the farmhouse windows, Zufishan awoke to the scent of freshly brewed tea. Azar stood by the stove, his movements calm and deliberate. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, the air didn't carry the weight of fear. "You're up early," Zufishan said, her voice soft as she leaned against the doorway. Azar turned, his smile lighting up the room. "I couldn't sleep. Too much to think about." She stepped closer, her hands finding his. "What now, Azar? What happens next?" He gazed at her, his expression filled with both love and determination. "We build the life we dreamed of, together. No more running, no more hiding, just us." Later that day, Inspector Naeem visited the farmhouse, bringing news that Alam Shah's men had disbanded following his death. "Most of his influence died with him," Naeem said, his voice steady. "His remaining connections are under investigation. You're safe now." Zufishan exhaled deeply, her grip on Azar's hand tightening. "Thank you," she said, "for everything." Naeem's gaze softened. "You fought harder than anyone should ever have to. Alam Shah's crimes will not go unanswered. Justice will prevail." As the inspector left, Zufishan turned to Azar. "It feels surreal," she said. "After everything we've been through, we can finally breathe." Azar placed a hand on her cheek, his touch grounding her. "We survived, Zufi. That's all that matters." Weeks later, Zufishan and Azar stood in the middle of a small plot of land surrounded by rolling hills. The world around them was quiet, save for the rustle of leaves and the chirping of birds. This was their new home, untouched by the shadows of the past. "It's perfect," Zufishan said, her voice tinged with wonder as she took in the view. Azar nodded, his arm wrapping around her shoulders. "It's our fresh start." Together they began the work of building a life filled with love and peace. Each brick they laid, each flower they planted, was a step toward healing. The past would always be a part of their story, but it no longer defined them. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Zufishan and Azar sat on the porch of their new home. The crescent moon bracelet gleamed on Zufishan's wrist, its silver catching the soft light of the stars. "Do you remember what you said to me that night in the car?" Zufishan asked, her head resting on Azar's shoulder. Azar smiled, his hand entwined with hers. "That I'd never let you go." She looked up at him, her eyes shining. "You kept your promise." He leaned down, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. "And I always will." As the night deepened, they sat in comfortable silence, their hearts lighter than they had been in months. The darkness they had endured had given way to a future bathed in light, a future they had fought for and won, together. Under the crescent moon, Zufishan and Azar found their forever.